So now we've arrived in New York, and you can see we arrived around evening, and we are looking at a picture of the view of Manhattan from across the Hudson River.
Right, so we are in the New Jersey and we are watching the Manhattan night scene. So this is another night scene, right?
Yeah, we were, I think we were a bit amazed at the view with all of the lights across the water. A bit like a movie scene or something.
Yeah. So when I was watching this, night scene of Manhattan, I thought of one song. So what else that can be but Frank Sinatra's? Start spreading the news. I'm leaving today. I want to be a part of it. New York, New York. These vagabond shoes are longing to stray right through the very heart of it. New York, New York. I want to wake up in the city that doesn't sleep, to find I'm king of the hill, top of the heap. These vagabond shoes are melting away. I'll make a brand new start of it in old New York. If I can make it there, I'll make it anywhere. It's up to you. New York, New York. New York, New York. I want to wake up in the city that doesn't sleep, to find I'm king of the hill, head of the list, king of the hill, a number one. My little town blues are melting away. I'll make a brand new start of it in old New York. If I can make it there, I'll make it anywhere. Come on, come through. New York, New York, New York. So you wait there, New York. We are coming through tomorrow morning. So we had a good night's sleep, and then we took a bus to the Manhattan City next day, and there we are.
So you can see us with photos behind us of, I believe that's Marilyn Monroe, and
Yeah.
Johnny
with
Depp.
Johnny Depp, and I believe it's Jennifer Lopez
Right.
on the right hand side.
Yeah. So they met all those, superstars. And what did we do?
We took a
tour bus.
tour bus to, I guess, look at all the famous sites right in the heart of New York.
Yeah, so this tour bus goes around in Manhattan.
So you can see there in the corner, there's the guide that we had. So he's got the mic, and he's pointing out different places as we drive past.
Yeah, and he was very much, experienced because he could not see in the front what is coming up to the bus. But, all those traffic signals and all the signs on the street, some things are really low. So they just pass through the top of the bus. So if that tour guide keeps standing, then that will hit his head. But exactly before that thing comes up, he bows his head.
He must know these streets very well.
Yeah, and he must have eyes on his back.
Yeah, you can probably imagine the sounds just by looking at these pictures. It's just really bustling, and the popular, the famous
Yellow
cabs everywhere.
Yeah, look at that. All
The
those
traffic. The people. Yeah.
Terrible. Yeah, and many part of the city is just one way. Just one way. So what building is that? I think this is another government building, something, I guess.
Yeah.
Okay, well, that's fine. And what is that building?
Empire State Building.
Yeah, Empire State Building. And this must be...
Rockefeller Center.
Yeah, Rockefeller.
This was just
Plaza.
before they had set up the ice rink.
And what is the special with this building?
So these are the...
You can see the fire escape stairs that go alongside the building, and obviously that's also something that's very New York, something we don't have here in Sydney.
Yeah, so many old buildings, they have that emergency exit, the stairs outside attached to the building. And this must be the famous one.
Madison Square Garden.
Madison Square Garden. Yeah, so when I was young, there were many, world boxing champion games, and must have, other concert. All those famous concerts happened there.
There are some statues as well that we saw.
Yeah.
This is a picture of us with someone posing as the Statue of Liberty. There's a lot of these sort of tourist photo opportunities around the city.
So we thought that, this guy must be very kind to take photo with my kids. But when we finished and start to leave, he asked some money. Do you know how much he paid? He asked.
Was it $10?
Yeah, $10.
He wouldn't let us just leave.
Yeah. And this is another bridge attached to Manhattan. I think this is a Brooklyn Bridge. And this is part of the Chinatown in Manhattan. And
the UN?
Yeah, United Nations building. And all those, national flags outside. And where is it?
This is Central Park.
Yeah, just outside the Central Park.
Horse and carriage.
Yeah.
And we made it back to... Oh, we're getting closer to the...
Times Square.
Times Square.
Yeah. So
it was just... We didn't know where to look. Everywhere it was just crazy, like these all these billboards.
So full of yellow caps. And ta-da! Who is this guy?
This is Daniel Radcliffe. This was when I was in high school, and I was a very big fan of him in Harry Potter, so I was really excited to find his face on the billboard.
He's our hero. And another the music signs, movie signs. And this is very center of the Times Square. And actually we tried to buy a ticket for the musical Lion King was playing there. But well, we thought, oh well, we don't have that much time. We have only, you know, one day in Manhattan, and there are too many places to go. Yeah, and I remember we had a lunch near that Times Square. Where did we go?
We went to a place called TGI Fridays, which I had read about it in some books. So I really wanted to go to it.
Yeah, so Rachel suggested, oh, well, Dad, let's go there. So, okay, why not? But, well, after we finished the lunch, you know, their bill surprised us. We paid more than 100 American greenback dollars for lunch. Okay, so this is another Manhattan city. And on the bus trip, well, we you know, went back to the bus, and then it you know, showered, and within that vinyl you know, jacket.
They like handed out these raincoats for us.
Yeah, so they fell asleep, Joshua and Rachel.
It was a long day.
Yeah. So then where
So then
did it go?
that ended our very brief stop in New York, and then
So we had 2 nights sleep in New York
2 nights.
anyway. So we slept in New Jersey. Well, you know, we couldn't, you know, find the place to sleep in Manhattan. So we slept in New Jersey, and then we left to Burlington. How far is it?
So it's 566 kilometers,
Yeah.
and this we drove as well.
Yeah. So I rented a car from Atlanta and drove to Burlington, and we planned to leave the car there. And then my sister, another sister in Montreal, she's the number 4. So she and her husband came to take us with their 2 cars. So that's another very hard job, driving by myself, all the other passengers enjoying their sleep in the car. So this is pretty a typical, you know, the landscape of the American country town. And what is this?
Where we think that they're scarecrows, but there wasn't really any kind of like plants or crops around it, so maybe it's just decoration.
Yeah, so this small town, there are quite a number of, you know, these things we could find in the car. So at Burlington, we successfully met my sister and her husband, and we left the rent car there, and you know, within their cars we left to Montreal. That's another 167 kilometers, and we passed the border between America and Canada. So where is it?
we arrived at our aunt and uncle's place in Montreal, and we put on another short little impromptu concert at their place. So this is Rachel playing the cello with our uncle, who is a double bass player.
Yeah, so he's a double bassist. And actually, my sister and her husband, they went to France for study many years ago, and they studied in French, so they became very fluent in French and French culture. So they decided to move to Montreal, because that's another very, you know, strong French culture there. So my sister, she is teaching at the high school math. She's a math teacher in French. So I'm sure she must be one of the very fluentest French-speaking Korean in Montreal. Okay, so that's who are they?
This is Stephen. Can't really tell because his hairstyle has grown over his face, but that's him having a I don't know, I guess like a jam session with our cousin Noah. So
Yeah.
he's an only child, and he's a couple of years older than me.
Yeah, anyway, he played the guitar pretty well. So then we slept there that night, and then we left Montreal and to Toronto with their 2 cars. And that's about 541 kilometers. But I remember that's another very difficult, route to drive. You know what the problem is? The road was too straight. All those hour distance, the road almost straight. And how was I feeling? Well, I felt pretty, so sleepy, tired. But on the very straight road, it's really hard to resist.
Just like a robot, you just have to hold it.
Yeah. So I drove some time, but they said, they're following me, and they said, oh no, your car is not very, zigzag. So I gave the the steering wheel to my sister. Okay, so we arrived in Toronto, and then we met who?
So we met our uncle and aunt and grandpa from our mum's side, and we stayed with their family. So you can see our cousins as well in the photo.
Yeah, so that's Songyeon's brother, and that's him, who passed away last year. So
2 years ago.
Oh, 2 years ago already. Yeah, right. Okay, so we slept there 2 nights, right? So on the first night we had another concert with their whole family and the uncle to Songyeon. So we joined together. We had a big dinner and then had a concert. And then what happened next day? That's the second Sunday on our trip. So where did we go?
We went to a church in Waterloo where our family actually visited on an earlier trip in Canada.
Yeah, it's not a visit. It's exchange ministry. How long was it?
No, so in 2002 we stayed for 3 months.
Yes, for 3 months, from November till February 2003. So that's the name, Parkminster United Church of Canada. And they loved us greatly, and that was about 8.5 years before that time we visited the church. So what happened when we got there? They set up this special board which says, "Welcome back, Lee family." And can you find those little baby with a dummy? That's who?
That's me. I was only, at that time I was about 4 or 5 months when we arrived.
Yeah. Well, when you arrived, you were just 3 months old.
Yeah.
And you left when you were 6 months old. Yeah.
It was really nice to come back and sort of be welcomed back so nicely,
So those top photos, they were at our farewell service. So we put on the traditional Korean costumes, and we said goodbye to them, and they said goodbye to us. Okay, so that was the Sunday with the Holy Communion. So during the service, Rachel and Joshua and Christine, all of them, they played during the communion. So that was really wonderful. And after the service, they prepared a special morning tea with us. So we are enjoying some very joyful reunion with those the members of the church. And his name is Peter. What's his family name? I forgot. Moffat, yeah, Peter Moffat. He's one of the ministers there. Now he retired with his wife, Elizabeth. She's also then minister. So they are the minister couple. And so, well, they came to Australia to Tongavi Church. And, I just went there. So we all had some pretty, joyful talk with them during the morning tea. And he's the new minister in that church. And then where did he go?
So these were some of our friends that we had made on that first trip in 2002. So we met up with them again.
Well,
No.
we actually knew them from Australia before.
Yeah, the family moved from Australia to Canada.
To Canada.
And they settled in a small town in Ontario named Guelph, which is right next to Waterloo. So after the Sunday service at Parkminster, we visit their home in Guelph. So they had two kids, Hannah and Sean. So they're pretty, similar age with our kids. So they had a great reunion. So on their backyard, well, they played outside. And it is pretty much open space, so there is no wall or fence with the neighbors, but it's all connected. So very big backyard and open space. So they had a good time.
Yeah, it was. They had this really big, I think, cornfields or something
Cornfield.
at the back. So we went on a little adventure, obviously.
Yeah. So we came back to Toronto that day, the Sunday, and then we had our final night in Canada, and then next day we left for Seoul. So it's the longest flight, longer than 10,000 K, and I think it took about 14 hours or something. So
Back in Seoul,
Mm.
and we got to stay in a pretty nice hotel.
yeah, it's
For was it our final accommodation?
yeah. So it's the Pacific Hotel, and yeah, so we stayed there for 2 nights. And so on the first night when he arrived at Seoul, where did he go?
It's the Namsan.
Yeah, so that's the Mount Nam, Mount Nam Tower. So that's a very, the solid and prominent, landscape in Seoul. So Joshua and Christine, they enjoyed the dinner, and we met my old church friends. So there is some, the photos there in the tower. And then after the meal, what is it?
So they have these fences where you put a lock, and then it's similar to I think what they have in Paris.
Yeah.
As well. So couples go up together and they put a lock on.
Yeah. And what do they do with the key?
They
They throw it away, so they cannot find the key. So they cannot unlock the lock. So they believe their love will go forever. So you can see that hotel in the back, Pacific Hotel. It's right in the middle of Seoul, Myeongdong. It's very, very busy town, and actually it was the most expensive place in Seoul. Still, I think it's very expensive place. So it's another part of that Myeongdong. So it's full of restaurants and shops and everything. And then we went to Sung-yeon's uncle's place, and we had another concert at his house. So we took a photo. His house is something like a pretty traditional Korean house, but inside it is all, you know, modern style. So it is a mixture of West and East. So that's him and his wife and my family. And then we went to my old church's friends. Well, we all gathered together, and he is the doctor of this his own doctor's office, and he's a specialist in what ear, throat, and what is it? And throat, mouth, is it? Yeah. So yeah, so we had the meal together, and then we went into his doctor's place, and then we also had another concert in his office. And the next day, there is another Sung-yeon's the relatives. So we went to visit this fish market, and we had a special meal with them. And then we went to my university in Seoul, because my uni friends, we plan to have a dinner with them. So I visit my own university maybe after 40 years, and I haven't been able to visit the uni after my graduation, so that's pretty much a long while. So these are my old uni friends, and well, Rachel and Joshua and Kristen and Stephen, they all fell asleep while before we had dinner, because they are so tired. So but well, we had to wake up to have the meal with them.
I think we were supposed to play another concert here.
Yeah.
But because we were so tired, we
had basically passed out. So
You can sort of tell that some of us are still a bit tired taking this photo.
This restaurant is really big. Whole building is a restaurant. So each room is very much separated as a room. So I thought, oh well, we could do some concert. But well, because they were not able to play, so we had to skip. But well, this friend, well, actually he retired just before our trip, and he worked more than 30 years for Samsung. So he's one of those early developers of that whole electronic business of Samsung. So he made a great work for the company and for 30 years, and then he retired. So he invited us to his home for the night. So we went to his place, had a good sleep, and after the breakfast, he prepared a continental buffet style breakfast for us. So we had a meal, and then we had a concert at his place. And because his wife is another, very much experienced pianist, they have a grand piano in his apartment. So, well, especially for Rachel's Swan, Sang Swan, she played that for Rachel. So they played together. And all of us, we played some other music, and we had a really good time. So we took a photo and say goodbye to him, and then after this we went to my high school friend's holiday house in western part of Korea. It's called named Taean, and you can see the sea, and he has a small house for holidays. And we had a good sleep there, and we had a dinner, and then we also have concert at his holiday house.
And if you can see as well, I believe the motorcycle, he actually let me ride it back then for a little bit. So when I was about 9, I got to ride on that, which was pretty exciting throughout the countryside as well.
Yeah, you can see the motorbike there. So we took a photo, and then he took us to our next stop. So we went to my brother's place. So you can see my great-grandmother, my grandfather, grandmother, and my father. So they put the ashes in that little jar, and my brother is keeping them. So that's him. He's number 3 out of 6. So we had a quick stop there, and then we had a lunch, and then we left for Daejeon, where I was born actually, and I lived about my first 10 years in Daejeon, and there are my father's relatives and my mother's relatives are living there, but we just was able to stay one night, so I didn't have time to visit all those relatives. So I plan to use this space. That's my junior high friend, best mate, and he's Oriental medicine doctor, and this is his building. So I asked him to use this space, and then I invited all those relatives to come. So you come, and then we'll say hello to you. So we had a meal together, and then we had a big concert with them. So I played with Christine. What did you play, Christine? That was
Is it
Akabilk.
the Rose or something?
Akabilk. What's the song? Yeah, anyway, that's the time when she played her clarinet. And he is my junior high friend with my mother. And then Rachel and Joshua, they had a good time, enjoyed that keyboard.
So yeah, with that keyboard, I think that was one of the ones where it had the pre-recorded sounds. So we would pretend to play it like we were playing the songs.
Right, so it was, people thought that, oh, Joshua is a great keyboard player. Okay, so we had, we stayed at my friend's apartment for the night, and next day is another Sunday. That's the 3rd Sunday. So I was invited to preach at his church, and that's fairly big church, and they have 3 Sunday morning services. So I was invited to preach 3 times for all those services. So, I preached in Atlanta, Korean church. So that was after many years. I haven't been able to preach in Korean. So in Atlanta, I preached in Korean. And now at his church in Daejeon, I preached 3 times in Koreans. Each time there are about 200 or 300 the members. So altogether there are about 1,000 membership. So the kids, they also played during the service. So Stephen even played his drum in that church. And Rachel played cello, and Christine played piano with me, and Joshua the violin. And my family also came to that church, and she is the number 2 out of 6. Yeah. So after the 3 Sunday services, we had to leave for another Sunday evening service in Seoul. but we had to travel more than 200 kilometers. So we didn't have time even for lunch for on that Sunday. So after the Sunday service, about 1:30 or about 2 o'clock, we hurried for Seoul. And then we arrived at this church. This is the best mate in high school. His brother-in-law is the minister in that church. So, and my friend, he invited all our high school friends, and my friends were there, and there was the congregations in that church. So it was really another exciting, joyful moment, and we played. I played with Stephen, and then he is Songyeon's youngest brother and their family. And they are my high school mates with their wives. And then next day we went to the old palace in Seoul. So we went there, but thankfully there was a lady guide and tour guide, and she is guiding us in English. So I thought, oh well, yeah, this must be a really good chance for my kids. So we followed her, and there are other, foreign tourists. And this old palace is, a very prominent place in Seoul, because in the old days, kings, they were working, so doing all the business, national business, in that place. So that's the chair for the king. And this is kind of the party, place right next to this pond. So
like a function hall or
yeah,
something.
function
in
hall
modern
or
times.
something. Yeah. So in the upstairs, they had a big party, and all the musicians and all the high officials gathered together, and then maybe in later time the king and queens they appeared, I guess. So this is the kind of enactment of that old cabinet meeting in the old days. So king is sitting in the middle, and then all the high officials, they join together according to their ranks. And then we went to a museum right next to this palace. So give us some explanation. Is there anything you can say?
I think these were just like the traditional pots that they would use.
Yeah,
Big
yeah.
jars and
So especially for fermenting or
Yeah.
those kinds of ingredients.
So in the old days, every family, they have their own area for those pastes and things like. So chili paste and the bean paste and all sorts of soy sauce and all those things. Every family, they have this kind of place. But these days, nobody does because
I guess this is like an ancient pantry.
yeah. So well, because people can buy everything from the supermarket, and this is kind of an old style house, the Korean traditional house. And this is the what is it?
The model.
Yeah, model for the traditional wedding. And this thing is very interesting because it's kind of coffin, traditional coffin. But this is very, very, well decorated, luxurious coffin. And but most of those coffins, they symbolize a house for the dead body. So you can see that those things. that's the the top, the
Roof.
roof of the house, and they decorate with whole lot of the little symbols and everything. And some people, like 10 or more people, they carry this coffin, and they carry through the town where the deceased used to live, and then they bring it up to the mountain where they bury the coffin. And this is kind of the family
A shrine.
shrine. So they keep all those ancestors' names and titles, and they light the candle to remember them. And this is a little convenience store in the old days. So yeah, in small town they have a number of these places, and they sell all sorts of things. And then we came to the sister number 2, her apartment, and we took our the final photos before we go back to Sydney. So there's my mother and second sister, and then third brother, and then the last one, number 6. Yeah. So we finished our trip, and then we left Seoul and we arrived Sydney, another 8,000 kilometers flight. So we are back home. So before we finish up our journey, well, yeah, I want my kids to play Ave Maria, because as we think about that trip after 10 years, but we still believe, oh well, it was a really great trip, but most of all, we had a safe trip. And I keep giving thanks to God for for having us this joyful, wonderful life, giving trip with much safety. So while they're playing Ave Maria, let me just go through all those slides from the beginning. So thank you very much for watching this virtual trip with the Lee family, and thanks for being with us. And yeah, well, all I can say that well, that's life remembering trip for us, and still give thanks for all those love and care we are able to receive and exchange with those families and friends and some new faces. And but well, most of all, we give thanks to God for us to be able to have this wonderful trip. Still 10 years has passed, but still we remember that. Thank you very much.